People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 220. Y'all know I don't believe in coincidences. Every single guest I've ever had on the show, every single one has come into my life for a good reason. I haven't come into their lives for a good reason. Did you know that our guest today was born in Ontario? That's in Canada, but you already knew that. On a dairy farm, if you have 6 siblings, you would assume that you would be in a house. That is ruckus. That's crazy. There's kids running around. Total madness. However, that is not the case with our guest today, Mary. Do you know why? The reason is because they started having kids, they being Mary's parents, at a young age. Her mom was 18 when she had her first kiddo, but were much older when Mary entered the scene. So she was basically an only child with a whole bunch of siblings. Wrap your head around that one. Ontario, as you know, is a bustling metropolis, geographic area. Did you know, I was watching a show recently, it's a documentary, and it's about a university that is like a 2-year, so it's not a 4-year, and there's all of these basketball players that end up there because of some drama in their lives, and there is a coach that pours his heart and soul into these kids, and these kids have issues. That's why they're at this 2-year school. Some of them were destined for greatness, some of them were destined for the NBA, but something happened. Maybe it was academics, maybe it was some home thing, maybe it was drugs, maybe, who knows, but something happened. And this coach is a saint, comes in, does every possible thing he can for almost no money to try to help these people. So I think the word coach kind of describes what we're trying to talk about, but it's so much more than that. It's not just motivator. It's not just, guider of, down the path that you need to go. It's very difficult to put into words what exactly that is, but that thing that I'm trying to describe is what our guest is today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mary Strachan.
Hello.
There she is.
Hi, everyone.
So I don't like the word coach. I should like it. I should be fine with it. But I have a hang up about it.
Good.
And good session. It's been fun. Everybody will have it. So Mary, you told me backstage that you do 90-minute, 2-hour sessions with people.
Yep.
You need bathroom breaks if you're going for a 2-hour session. I mean, that's a decent little period of time.
Yep, it is. But I find part of that was for me in that I don't like to be rushed. I used to work with coaches who I would get 15 minutes with and found that super challenging to even like kind of settle in and get my head around what I wanted to talk about. So I intentionally, when I was setting up my works, scenario, I wanted to give people the opportunity to really settle in and have the time that they needed to really work through what they wanted to work through with me in that time without feeling, okay, I've got to, get on to the next.
Do they
wrap it up.
come to you basically saying, "Hey, look, here's my issue. I know what it is. I'm procrastinating. I can't stop it, whatever." Or do they come to you saying, because the only reason they're coming to you is because they think they can do something better. Don't they know there's an issue?
They do know that there's an issue, but I think sometimes the reason they think they have the issue is not really the issue.
Okay.
So you mentioned procrastination. They may be able to say to me, I'm having a hard time, getting this project finished or even starting it.
Okay.
For me, I just don't go based on the assumption that it's procrastination. I want to hear, like, tell me more about that. Like, what does that look like? Because there's a lot of reasons that people procrastinate. And sometimes it's the project that or what they're trying to do is just too big, and they need help to break it down into manageable, chunks. Sometimes they just don't have time in their schedule, and so it gets, bumped down to the bottom of the pile because or the to-do list, and they need help, figuring out how to make that happen. But, sometimes what they're trying to do is a misalignment, and it doesn't feel really good when they try to do it. And so we look at that and say, okay, maybe you're not able to do this because it's not a good choice for you. So it takes time to figure that out. I'm pretty quick to kind of get a sense of what's really going on, but it's important for them to be able to talk it through because sometimes then they get the answer, which is really, I think, when we think about a coach, for me, that's the difference between a coach and a consultant, where a consultant will just go in and say, oh, here's the problem. This is how you fix it. Whereas I'm more interested in them, working it helping them work it through for themselves and get the answer with me kind of supporting that,
Okay.
asking the questions.
Uh, do you hear that sound? It's like
Yeah,
burr, 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 burr.
sorry, it's my
No, it's all good.
phone.
Okay, it's all good. So if I'm gonna go hire, okay, someone hires a coach and they sit down and they think that their problem is X, but the
Mhm,
reality is that it's Y. They talk in
mhm,
circles. They eventually get to the solution. Why
mhm.
can't they do it themselves? Why can't they figure this out on their own? Why do they need you, Mary?
Oh, because I think you lose perspective. I think, someone else outside has a different perspective, and they're also, you so the other person can give a perspective. The other person is not, I'm not emotionally invested in the situation, whereas there's probably a lot of emotion, to some degree or another tied in with that particular issue that they're coming to. So, and then I think you also like I think people get stuck because they can't see other possibilities.
Okay.
The other thing is that I feel like a lot of people make themselves wrong for experiencing it, whereas they're not actually wrong, it's just who they are, and we gotta work with that instead of them trying to twist themselves up into someone they're not.
Okay. I had a moment. I was working at a place called Advised Media Group, and we kept hiring salespeople because we wanted salespeople to sell our products. And I was the director of operations at the time, and I kept looking for salespeople, and none of them worked. It was
Uh-huh,
terrible, truly terrible. And I was just sitting out there with my boss at the time, and he looked at me and he goes, "You're the sales guy." And I was like, like I was absolutely averse to that. I was like, anything but that. Like, don't make me do it. Just do not make me do it. And was absolutely a requirement for me to be where I am today. There's no
mhm,
way I could have done what I did if I never had that realization.
yes.
And so I imagine that there are moments like that in the coaching where people go, okay, maybe I do need to do the thing that I'm terrified of and don't want to do. How much of it is people just being afraid of what they know they need to do?
Definitely, fear, plays a role, but I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here and say that fear is like the it's kinda like the default, um, kind of problem, I guess, like or a block, people say there's a block. So, I think fear is a legitimate thing. It is, people experience fear, but with support, they can get over that fear and go ahead and do it. So when I first started, I mentioned I did telesummits, and our coach at the time, she was very adamant that, feel the fear and do it anyways. And so
Mm.
that definitely helped me because we had to reach out to experts, like probably like 200 experts. So yeah, I was scared to do that. I was scared they were going to say no. Um, but the more I did it, the more I saw people were really nice when they replied if they were gonna say no. Like, I probably had maybe one person be rude, and maybe, out of the many, many, many that, and lots of people said yes, and some people didn't
Mhm.
reply, or I would get a reply, like, 2 months later and said, "I was really busy, sorry, I missed this
Mhm.
opportunity." But
Mhm.
at the same time, sh part of the program was to ask people how many people they had on their mailing list. And we were
Mhm.
only accept people onto the telesummit that had 5,000 to 10,000 people on their list. Well, the people that I was trying to reach out to didn't have that. So I was saying no to really, really good people that had very helpful information that they could have shared. And it started feeling like wrong to me. And I kept like, "Okay, feel the fear and do it anyways," but it wasn't fear, it was something different, and it was my body was, like, experiencing, like, a real resistance to this, and I finally figured out that I have a value of inclusion, and by excluding the people based on their number of people on their email list, I was really going against that value. So it wasn't fear that was stopping me. I was doing it. I was asking, but it wasn't feeling right to exclude
Mhm.
because they didn't have the minimum number of people on their list.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. There are a number of things when I was an employee that would drive me absolutely crazy because they would go against one of those values that I would
Mm,
have, and there's nothing I could do about it. All
right.
I could do was continue to hope and pray that one day I would be in a position where I could just make those decisions and not have to go against my ethics, my
Right.
values, whatever that happens to be.
Yes.
Decision making, and that's a good motivator for folks listening, entrepreneurs that are interested in, I mean, that's a big motivator. If you find yourself in a position where you are the strategy, you just disagree with it at an organization or part of it, or you think it could be. One of my biggest pet peeves when I was an employee was the bottleneck that was created by leadership.
Mhm.
I'd send an email, it was 24 hours, not get a response. I was like, why do I even have to run this by this person?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it would just be done. Like he's gonna say yes. Like what? Like it's just stupid. It's so stupid. And then there was so much office politics that drove me absolutely crazy. Like people are
Mhm.
flirting with people. They're friends, and these band friends are those friends or whatever. I
Right.
was like, I don't need a single bit of any of this. Like none of it.
Mhm.
Like let's go drinking. It's Friday. Like none of it. I don't need any of it. And and so I created a work from home environment 4 years ago.
Mhm.
It's like there's none of that. You want to Skype somebody and like talk, go right ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fine. But there's no office party. There's just none of you. You do the work and then you have your life outside of that. Um, okay, so you have been a coach for approximately how long?
Since 2014,
Mm-hmm.
so 7 years.
Okay. And in that time, do you feel like you have, um, how do I want to phrase this? Do you have a client that you look back and go, that was terrible?
Well, I don't have a client that I didn't like, that they were terrible because I didn't like them, but I do in the beginning, I was marketing in a way that brought people to me that really wanted me to tell them what to do.
Mm,
Whereas I'm more a person who wants to support people to figure it out and find their own solutions with using my knowledge and my skills and all of that. And so I found it a little bit frustrating at times because they didn't, um, there wasn't it wasn't a good match. And I remember someone calling me, kind of really upset about something that had happened, and I was trying to support them. And I remember she was like, I just want you to tell me what to do." Like, she didn't want me to help her figure out what to do. She really wanted me to tell her what to do. And that's
Mm,
when I figured out, like, okay, something is kind of wrong here. Because I was getting too many clients who wanted me to fix things for them or tell them exactly what to do. And I don't believe that there's a one size fits all to every situation. So that's how it was kind of, I guess, terrible. It was just wasn't a good match for me.
yeah. I mean,
And they probably weren't happy with me.
yeah, if someone just wants you to tell them what to do, I don't know. I don't know who you have to call to, like, who is that? Like, who is that person? Like, I want to hire you and you tell me what to do. It seems very strange to me. That's a very
Well,
strange relationship.
it's it's when you don't know what to do and you're at a loss. Like, look at YouTube. Like, how many things do we look up? How to, you know, cook,
Right.
anything. There's
Okay, I
lots of
see what you're
people that
saying.
wanna know how to do things. It's just that I never had, like, the magic bullet solution that applied to everybody. Um
Right. Yeah, we're getting a little bit into consulting for like Instagram, and that's what they want. They're just like, tell me where to go, tell me what to do, go to
Yeah,
Instagram, do this kind of post.
sure.
So yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So let's try to get into the motivation as to why you're doing what you're doing. So you grew up way back in the day, Ontario dairy farm, right?
Yes. Yes.
So Ontario, help me out. Is that where in Canada? Is that east, west, center?
Just, east of center, I would say, above, Buffalo and Michigan.
So
You can probably do
freezing cold. I mean,
what?
a tremendous cold above Michigan is
Yeah.
cold. Yeah, that's cold.
Yeah, I was wearing a toque today while out walking, so
Yeah.
it was good.
I'm from North Dakota, so I think like
Yeah.
Manitoba's above us.
Yes.
Um, and so yeah, that's cold. So that's gonna make you a certain kind of individual. Give you a lot of patience, I guess. Make you play a lot of cards indoors in the winter.
Yeah, we did a lot of, outdoors was a big part of growing up, in my day, I guess. So we had a pond behind our barn. My dad would clear it off so we could ice skate on it. What else? He would blow the snow in our driveway and it would just build a huge snowbank so we
Mm,
could slide down it and build forts in it. So we went outside in the winter, even in the cold.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, maybe my mom was like outside.
I remember those days. I once what did I do? It was a protest. They had one of those big snow piles, and we
Uh-huh.
had created a fort.
Yes.
Um, and in came the bulldozer, and they were gonna like, bulldoze our fort away. And we
Uh,
loved that fort. It was the greatest
yeah.
fort in the history of all forts. Like we worked on it every day, and uh, and I had like a standoff with
Oh,
the guy. I was like, "No, you will not," And the dude's like, "I'm moving this pile of snow," And so anyway, he won,
yeah. You
and we
mentioned
lost that part.
cards. Sundays we would go to church, and then my brothers and sisters would come home on the weekends until their kids kind of started to get a bit older. But Sunday was like a Sunday family dinner, but in between lunch and dinner or church and lunch and dinner, we would play board games. Every Sunday was like a board game. It's just was counted on that was gonna be how we spent the afternoon. So that was it's a lot of fun. I have a kind of competitive brother, so sometimes there are some tears involved, but,
Your tears or his tears?
mine and my niece, probably his daughter, when we weren't, getting the answers right in Trivial Pursuit, he thought we probably should have known.
Yeah, there's some of that. So, all right. So early on, I'm wondering about the influence that your teachers had, because to me, a coach and a teacher are
Mhm.
pretty darn similar.
Yes.
Um, and so, in your early years, did you find a fondness for teachers, or did you see them and go, I can do better?
I aside from kindergarten, I didn't wanna go to school in kindergarten. I don't know if it was the school part or the bus part. My dad drove me to school every day. But apart from kindergarten, I loved school.
Mhm.
I would make him take me on a snow day when the town kids were allowed to go to school. I would have him drive me in. So yeah, my mom had one of those school record books, and I sat down at one point. I don't know, still in elementary school, and it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I put teacher in every year. I filled it out ahead of time. So I do think teachers had a very big role in my childhood and in shaping who I was. I loved to learn. I was good at it. So I got the praise, I got the grades. Um, and I, I, I don't know that I knew at the time, but having kids of my own, I certainly now see the impact a teacher can have uh, negatively or positively on a child, and not just as a learner, but as a child, as a person.
Mm.
um, yeah, so definitely I didn't follow through and become a teacher, go to teachers college, but definitely I something connected with me there.
Mm. So why not? I don't get it. If you were all about the teacher vibes,
Yeah.
when you got to that point in your life, you just didn't. Why not?
I think by high school, I had started, well, first of all, my parents never talked about me going to college or university.
Mm.
And so wherever that came from was not them. But I did have one sister who had gone to university. So she was a pretty big influence. And she started very early, probably on in high school, talking about me becoming a lawyer.
Mm.
And I knew I wasn't really it didn't really appeal to me, and I can't tell you why. By grade 13, I thought maybe speech therapy, but as it turned out, I wasn't really a strong science student or math. I did okay, but I wasn't flourishing, so I didn't see that future for me. So by the time I was applying for university, I was looking at, I think I applied for psychology, which is, again, I'm kind of fascinated by human behavior,
Mhm.
why people do things and
Yeah.
why they don't do things. And so that's what I kind of went for. But then I realized I don't know by first year, I was like, I don't know what job I'm going to have by
Mhm.
doing this. And I switched into something called family and social relations, which would be not an equivalent to social work, but the next best thing.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
S
so I
I
worked a
mean,
lot in nonprofits after that.
in nonprofits, you say?
Mhm.
Okay.
Doing essentially social work without a social work degree.
Okay. So you've always worked with people and you've always been trying to help
Yes,
people. Now you're
yes,
trying to help people make money,
yeah,
right? Isn't
yeah.
that at the core of this is people hire you and they want you to make them a better person so that they can make more money?
I do think so. Being an entrepreneur, there's a lot to navigate. And what I'm finding is people are amazing. Like, they're super skilled. They're like amazing at what they do. They're like what they're offering, they're amazing at. But the whole business side of things is where if they're going to get tripped up, that's where it's going to be, in the marketing, in the planning, in the, you know, charging enough money to earn a living. Those kinds of things is where I guess the Achilles heel lies for the people, especially the people that I tend to hang out with, which are a bit more purpose driven. They're looking to make a change in the world through their business.
Mhm.
That's where the hang up tends to be.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, it almost always boils down to marketing.
Mhm.
The business itself is usually pretty straightforward. I'm a
Yeah.
plumber. I'm a great plumber. I'm,
Yes.
I'm happy for you, buddy. That's awesome. He's like, I can fix any sort of stuff. I just don't know why they're not calling me.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Um, and then,
Yeah.
well, maybe it's because there's a lot of plumbers out there, man. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so why you? Okay, well, let's get the ball rolling. Start talking about Google reviews. Someone's going to find you on Google. You got 4 reviews. They can go pick someone that has 812 reviews. Like,
Mhm.
why choose you? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
Right.
you objectively start looking at them. You're like, there is no good reason why they should choose you. And so why are you expecting them to choose you?
Right.
They can't see you. They don't know who you are. There's no videos on the homepage. It's like a Shutterstock image of who knows what. There's nothing that differentiates you from any of the other plumbers. They can't find pricing, so they don't know how expensive you are. They don't know if you can come out today or not. And you also don't even show up in Google in the first place. So like they're on page 5 if they find you anyway.
Yeah.
So how exactly is it that they're supposed to choose you? And then you talk to these people about, well, you should be doing at least 1 YouTube video a week. Bah! It's like the end of the world. Like you're asking them to like, I don't know, like swim the English channel or something. It's like, it's just a YouTube video. It's not that serious. Take out your phone, point it at something, be like, this is a broken toilet. I'm going to fix it now. And then you do that. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me. Um, and then you've
Do you
got, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, do you find that, people, because their offer is there, they just think people will buy it?
Well, I mean, they spend money on Google ads, and those don't work unless you're
Mhm.
very good at them. They're very expensive. Or you get
Mhm.
leads and you might make some money, but not enough to cover the cost of them. Google ads are highly effective for businesses that, they've got good cash flow. They can weather the storm. Like the ads don't have to work in the next 2 months or it's the end of the world.
Right.
Um, and then they're like, well, I looked at SEO and can you SEO my sites? And they have no budget. And there's these people. And then, of course, we have tons of actual legitimate clients that are great and, are the bread and butter and the reason why I have a company and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But when we're talking about people that are getting coached, my bias is thinking that they're not successful. Am I wrong in that? I mean, are there people that are like, I really need a coach, and also I'm doing incredibly well.
Well, I think, yes and no, because I think, someone might benefit from having a coach when they get to a certain level and they've kind of exhausted what they know how to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then they need the support to kind of go to the next level. But I think,
Mm-hmm.
yes, here's my thing. I think way too many people invest in a coach when they probably need something different, like a VA or someone, like their money would
Oh.
be spent better. And it might
Right.
sound strange for me to be saying that, but at some point you don't need coaching anymore. It's take the money and invest it in somebody to support you to create the systems or
Oh yeah.
do the social media, the tasks
Yeah.
that you're not really super good at or enthusiastic. A bookkeeper, an accountant even,
Oh yeah.
those kinds of things. So I hear what you're saying, uh, around, are people kind of struggling if they need a coach? And sometimes, yeah, they are. They are struggling,
Yeah.
or they don't have the skill to take what they have the idea, but they can't translate it into, um reality. Like, they don't know the kind of steps to take to do that.
Yep. Yep. So 10:59, we have a couple minutes
Okay.
remaining. Mary, I want to make sure you have a chance to let the folks know where to reach you, how to reach you. Why don't you take a minute and do that?
Yeah, people could come, to my website would be the best place, which is marymstrawn.com, and my last name is spelled Strachan.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, marketing as a foreign language, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can join us for the live show. Do hit the like button if you do swing by the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/SendItRising. Why is it Send It Rising and not marketing as a foreign language? It's because I own Send It Rising, WordPress websites, SEO, pay-per-click, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads. You know the drill, agency stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a great coach, you know Mary's your gal. Mary, final comment.
I really enjoyed this opportunity. It got me thinking about how my childhood and growing up has influenced where I've come today. So thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. We'll see you and all of our guests next time. Bye for now.